Hey guys, it's the Addie Queen, and this is my first video in my Crochet My Way series. In this video, I'm going to be showing you the Bavarian Buster Granny Square. I've been making these granny squares for a scrap yarn project, so my colors are a little crazy and they don't always coordinate. But I thought it would be a lot of fun to hop on here, show you guys the stitch and the way that I crochet it my way. So for starters, I am using a size J or a 5.75 millimeter crochet hook. This pattern, it starts off wanting you to do a magic circle, but honestly, I have trust issues with a magic circle. So I always make a huge slip knot. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put our hook inside, and we're just going to flip our tail over and start off with a chain. We're going to do 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this next stitch, I do believe it's called a treble together stitch. We're going to wrap the yarn around twice, go into our humongous slip knot, and then wrap the working yarn, go over 1, wrap the working yarn, go over 2, wrap the working yarn and go over 2 one more time. So we have our chain 5 on here and then our first stitch. We're going to do that again. We're wrapping it around twice, going into the center, wrapping it around once, 1, wrap around 2, wrap around and 2. And we're going to hold these stitches on our hook because they're all going to go together. Wrapping around twice, once, yarn over, yarn over, yarn over. And since this is a granny square, our corners are going to be slightly different from our sides. But since this is our first row, every single stitch we're going to do is a corner. So I have 4 stitches right here in my chain 5. I'm going to wrap this around and I'm just going to pull all of these and we're going to chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got this crazy looking thing. You see here's our chain 5. We got our stitch we just made. So now I'm going to go right back in to the center of my circle, wrap around, yarn over, wrap around, yarn over. We're going to chain 5. We're just starting the process over again. 3, 4, 5, wrap around twice, again go into the center of our circle, wrap around once, yarn over once, yarn over 2, once, we're taking 2 over, wrap around twice, 1, 2, 3, that's our second stitch. We're doing 1 more stitch in this cluster for a total of 4. So we have our 4 stitches and our chain 5 on our hook, wrapping around, and we're pulling all of them through. And chain 5, going into the middle here, wrap around, wrap around, yarn over, wrap around, yarn over. To start our third corner, again, we're chaining 5. Again, wrap around twice. We're just doing the same thing 2 more times to have a total of 4 clusters inside of our humongous slip knot. we have our 4 stitches and our chain 5 on here. We'll pull them all off and chain 5 again. Now this will be our last cluster. We're chaining 5. And then we're starting this process over again. Remember, you want to keep a loop on your hook from each stitch within your cluster. It's my last one. We're going to pull these all through and then chain 5. Now this is kind of wonky looking, but this is one of those stitches that's very much trust the progress. Not trust the progress, I'm sorry, trust the process. So if you look, here is my very first chain from where I chained 5 at the beginning. I'm just going to stick my hook in there and do a little slip stitch. And now we're going to pull our tail to tighten up this circle. And we're left with something that looks like this. Looks like completely a blob of crochet mess. Do not be hard on yourself or upset if your square looks crazy, because these do not start looking good until you're on like your second or third color, because it just doesn't. So now, like I said, we have 4 corners. So I'm going to show you the stitch that goes into the corners. And it's kind of hard to find at the beginning. But you see right here's where we chain 5, and we chain 5 right here as well. So here's our 4 stitches in between. And where all these stitches were yarned over, we have this hole that they all go into. Right here. We are going to be working into this hole. So we're doing the same stitch. So we're going to wrap around twice, and then we're going to poke into this hole that I just showed you, which is right here. And then we're going to wrap around once, yarn over 1, wrap around once, yarn over 2, wrap around, yarn over 2, wrap around, yarn over 2. It looks crazy. Again, we're going to do it same stitch into the corner piece, wrap around 1, wrap around 2, wrap around 2, wrap around 2. We're going to do 4 stitches of this, all into the same hole. So this is my 3rd stitch. Again, we're working into this hole right here. 4th stitch. Now, since this is a corner, we're going to actually be working 12 stitches into this hole, but in between your sets of 4, we are just going to do a chain 1. So since I just chained 1, we are going to work 4 more stitches into this hole, and we are going to do this for every corner. Three, 1 more stitch, and that will conclude our second group of 4. Again, we're gonna just do a little chain in between, and now we're gonna do our third group of 4 in order to have a total of 12 stitches inside of our hole. So sometimes you can pull it and scoot it back if you have a hard time getting into the hole. Again, we're just doing 4 more stitches. So here's 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So now that we've completed our 12 stitches, this is our first corner, and here are our other 3 corners from our previous row. Right here is our chain 5 for the next group. I'm going to go in, and in between our chain 5s on the first row, we did connect back into the center. I'm going through the stitch that we used to go into the center, and I'm just wrapping around, and we're going to yarn over. This is kind of to separate our corners so they don't all jumble into each other. So we're going to do the exact same thing for the next 3 corners. Here is my second corner. If you have a hard time finding them, use these chain 5s. They are so helpful. So again, we're looking for the spot where all of our stitches went into one place and there's a little hole. And we're going into that hole. And we're just doing the same stitch again. And we're going to do 3 groups of 4. That's my first group, so we're going to do a chain. One, two, three, then our fourth one, we're going to do our little chain in between, and 4 more stitches for this corner. This is my 4th stitch here. And again, we're going to find that place where we went into our slip knot. We're just going down inside of it to break up our corners. We're going to do the same thing for these other 2 corners, and I will meet you back to show you our color change and our next row. Okay, I just finished my 4th corner, and as you can see, we have a little bit of a clover bud looking thing going on here. With this stitch, it is customary to switch colors every 2 rows. That's how we get the scalloped look, is we switch colors, and it kind of helps the pattern show a little more. So I am going to grab a pair of scissors and just cut a decently long tail. I do plan on weaving my ends in at the end, so we're just going to wrap around once, pull through, make it tight. I am going to pull this slip stitch, and for now I'm just going to tie these together. Just a regular knot. And I'm going to trim these to make them a bit more manageable, but we're not cutting them entirely off because, like I said, we are going to weave them in. Now, finding where to start with our second color can be a little intimidating. I promise you it's not hard at all. So, alright, here's where my ends are. So I'm going to start working from this corner. That way my ends will be in a similar spot on the back. Okay, so what do we have going on here? Well, do you remember how we would do 4 stitches and then a chain? We are going to count up 4 stitches and work into this first chain space. We're just going to put our needle through here, and then we're going to make a slip stitch, not a slip stitch, a slip knot, which I just wrap around and pull from the center. I'm going to put that on our hook and tighten it up. And go through, and we're going to chain 5 just like at the beginning. This very first stitch we're doing right here will be our corner, and when you're doing the first row of a new color, the corners will be 4 stitches and the sides are going to be 8 stitches. So since this is a corner, we're doing 4 stitches. We're wrapping around twice, and we're not working up here. We're going to work around the posts of our previous stitches. So I find it's easier to turn backwards, and we're picking up our whole stitch right here. And we're going to wrap around, pull through 1, wrap around, pull through 2, wrap around, pull through 2. Same thing we were doing in the previous row. Wrap around twice, we're going to pick up our stitch, wrap around, yarn over 1, wrap around, yarn over 2, then we're doing it a third time. Since this is a corner, we're going to pick up 4 stitches. We'll pick up our 4th one here. And this will take us to the next spot where we had a chain space. So we're going to pull all of these through. And just like before, we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to slip stitch into here. And we're going to chain 5 again. Now this is our first side, so we're going to do the same thing we did for the corner, but we're going to do it twice. We're working to our first little chain space right here. So we're wrapping around. I'm going in from the back and grab this stitch here. So we're going to grab 4 from this side. Here's our second one. And the middle of my yarn cake. Isn't that convenient? 3. Our 4th one down here. Again, we're picking up the whole stitch. We're working around it. So that's how we're getting the illusion of this being popped out. We have 4 stitches on here plus our chain 5. So we're going to work to the beginning of this next corner. We'll wrap it around. We'll come down here and grab our first stitch. Again, we're just doing the same thing. Three, 4. So this looks a little crazy. I promise you guys it is alright. We've got our chain 5. We've got the 4 stitches from this side. The 4 stitches from this side. So now we're going to wrap our working yarn around and we're going to pull all of these through. And then we're going to chain 5. And go right back in to our little chain space here. And that brings us back, you know, thinking of the way a granny square works. Side, corner, side, corner, side. So we are now at our second corner. We're going to do the same thing where we grab 4 stitches and do a chain 5 on each side. So we're going to start out by chaining 5. We'll wrap around twice. Again, we're going in from behind and grabbing these 4 stitches. This is my 4th stitch. So I'm going to pull all of these through. Then we're going to chain 5. I'm going to go into our chain space. Now this starts our second side. So we are going to chain 5 and then do the 8 stitches like we just did with this side. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going on to this side here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we have our chain 5, the 4 from one side and the 4 from the other. We're going to wrap around once and pull them all off the hook. We're going to chain 5 and go right back into the same space. So I'm going to finish my other 2 sides and my other 2 corners and come back and show you how to do the next row. Okay, I am at my color change. So I am going to go ahead and cut my working yarn. I'm going to join right here. And then I just like to pull my end through because we weave these guys in at the end. This is what it looks like from the back. It's definitely a pattern that looks better in the front. I think it looks so cool. I love the little ladder look here. So when you first switch colors, again, I like to make a slip knot. And we're going to count up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go into the chain 1 space. Put it through and chain 5. 3, 4, 5. And since we're starting on a corner, we are doing the treble together for 4 stitches. Our 4th stitch here. I'm going to pull all these through and then chain 5. We're just going to go right into this chain 1 space. Now we're going to chain 5 again. Now since this is a side, we are going to have 8 stitches on here. We have our 4th on this side. And we go across the way and grab these guys over here. And again, we pull all these through. We're going to chain 5 again, and we're going to do that all the way around. Honestly, to finish these squares, you are going to repeat those same 2 rows until you reach the size that you would like. So I'm going to move this to the side over here. This is a square that I have worked on previously. And as I mentioned, I like to do 7 colors. So this one is ready for a border because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And as you can see, it's time to add number 7. I've been talking all this hype about the border being different, but we're going to start with the same row that I was just showing you. So since this is a corner, we're going to count up 4, go into that chain space, then we're going to chain 5, go from behind, and we're on a corner, so we're doing 4, now we're chaining 5, go into our chain space here, and chain 5 again, and rotate my work here. Now this is a side, so for this stitch we're going to be grabbing 8, connect them all together, chain 5, and we're going to work right back in to our chain space here, chain 5 again, and this is still the side, so we're going to do 8 stitches. So basically we're repeating our first color change row just like you have for the rest of the square all the way around. The thing that makes the border different is what you do with your second row after the color change. So I'm going to go ahead and finish my first row, and then I will meet you back here and show you guys how to finish putting on the border. So as you can see all the way around, I went ahead and did just the same row that you would after your color change. But what we're going to do now is we're going to chain 3. And then, honestly, the border is just so easy. I like to do a double crochet border. So in each of these spaces where you chained 5 previously, I just add 4 double crochets. We're going to chain 1 on the corner, and then we're just working these into your chain 5 space. I suppose you could do 5. I just have found that 4 is what looks best for me and my tension and my hook size. Do whatever makes you happy. At the end of the day, no one's gonna come at you because you added 1 more stitch or because you got rid of 1. So do what feels better for you, what looks better for you. But I just keep adding 4 into every one of these big gap spaces. And you do that all the way around. When you get back to the beginning, you just join it together. Like I said, this pattern really is a piece of cake. And if you've made it this far in the video, I'm proud of you. I bet your work is looking so good. And I hope that this video is helpful to you guys. I think that's all I've got for you. Thank you so much for watching my very first Crochet My Way video, and happy crafting, everybody!